Olivia read her father's thoughts. My trust and pride as a father has been shattered, so I have to restore order in the house. He shook his head angrily. I thought my daughter was better than this, and now I look like a fool. I'm disgusted with her behavior. Olivia couldn't bear to keep listening to his thoughts, so she turned away from Michael and focused instead on Hector, who was grinning like a clown as he returned from Monica's room, carrying Monica's dress. That lying brown-noser, Olivia thought, as she watched him gleefully place Monica's dress next to Olivia's. Hector looked like he derived a sick pleasure from this. Olivia, meanwhile, was sick with worry, nervous about the punishment that was about to come, her stomach knotting up. Here are the dresses, sir, Hector said, while holding them both up for Michael to inspect side by side. The one on the left is Miss Monica's, and the other is Miss Olivia's. I see, Mike nodded as he glanced at both dresses. Olivia's dress was brilliant and bedazzled, while Monica's was a beautiful satin slip dress that was very minimalistic but gorgeous. Both so expensive, Michael thought. What a waste. My daughter is so petty. Again, Olivia stopped listening to his thoughts, ashamed. Everyone looked at her, noticing her straighten her back and raise her chin. She may have looked defiant, but she was just so uncomfortable she felt like crawling out of her skin. Olivia, what are you standing there for? You're in the wrong, Rachel whispered at her. Quickly apologize before your father gets angrier. Rachel spoke in a way that made it seem like this was a good-intentioned piece of advice, though Olivia knew better. Rachel never had good intentions. Yeah, just come clean now, Monica whispered. It's only going to get worse for you if you keep denying you did this. Her eyes narrowed. Daddy doesn't like liars. He's going to declare that you're a disgrace, Monica thought, the hint of a smile on her lips. He's going to disown you. At that exact moment, as everyone looked on, Michael reached towards both dresses, grabbed Monica's satin gown out of Hector's hands, and angrily shredded it into long strips of fabric using the scissors he still held. Oh my God! Monica shrieked. Her smile quickly fled her face. She felt like her heart was ripped out of her chest, and she instantly began crying. She looked at Michael in disbelief. Daddy, why would you do that? That was my dress. You cut the wrong one, she shouted. Rachel ran forward and grabbed Michael's arm. Mike, what did Monica do wrong? Why are you being so fierce? She's very scheming and clearly only thinks of plotting against others all day long, he said, voice gruff and low from anger. What? Did you not see what I've seen tonight? Rachel was stunned. Uncle Michael, we were bullied. It was Olivia who asked us to come to her room, Melanie pleaded. It was her who was bad. We even have witnesses. Why are you scolding Monica? You guys don't understand. Michael shook his head, slinking Rachel off his arm. He looked at Monica again and questioned her loudly. Who was wrong today? Monica wailed and cried. Not me, she whined. It was Olivia who plotted against me. It was her fault. It was all her fault. Why are you punishing me? Olivia watched on, pleased but confused. You're still lying. Michael became even angrier when he heard his younger daughter's continued denials. What time did you say Olivia came to speak to you? When was it exactly that she invited you to come to her room later? She came to us at 8:15. Why? Monica glanced uneasily at Melanie, who nodded confidently. And you can corroborate that, Melanie? 8:15? Michael asked. Yes, I think just around then. Melanie whispered hesitantly. And Hector, you can be sure as well. You said you saw Olivia talking to the girls between 8:15 and 8:20, correct? Do you stand by that? Hector's smile faltered slightly, but then he pushed his chest out. Yes, sir, it was, as I said before, sometime between 8:15 and 8:20, as I said before. As soon as Hector finished speaking, Michael slashed Monica's gown again, this time destroying it beyond repair. "Daddy!" Monica shrieked. "Why are you being so mean to me? I love that dress. Mommy had brought it in especially for me to try on, and now you've ruined it. Why do you hate me?" "Stop being dramatic," Michael snapped. Then he quietly added, "Olivia was speaking with me after dinner, from a few minutes after 8 to nearly 8:30. He looked at Olivia. "So how did she notify you guys to go to her room tonight if I was with her then?" It was silent. Olivia's lips curled up at the corners. It's true. She had been asking her father about her background around that time, and she was so grateful he clocked the time because it completely poked a giant, unignorable hole in her half-sister's story. Monica looked like the perfect mix of guilty and scared, and Rachel's face went white. Melanie wouldn't even look up and make eye contact with Olivia, and Hector looked terrified, like he was doing mental calculations to determine how costly his lie would be. They'd been caught. Finally, Olivia thought, relieved. So that whole time I was reading his thoughts, Dad was referring to Monica. The knot in Olivia's stomach began to untie itself. "Monica, did you think you could get away with lying to me?" Michael asked. "I can't believe that after everything I gave you constantly to make you happy, you would stoop this low and turn out to be such an obnoxious brat. I'm so much more than disappointed in you. I'm ashamed," he hissed icily. When he said those words, Monica slumped in shock and shame and began to weep profusely. "Daddy, I didn't mean to." But Michael, unmoved, put up a hand as if saying, "Enough," and Monica stopped talking. Where did she learn to be so manipulative? Michael thought, looking at Monica. From her mom, Rachel, Olivia thought, but she said nothing. Monica had done a fine job digging her own grave, and Olivia didn't need to do or say a thing now. Olivia could see from reading Michael's thoughts that her father's heart hurt because he was realizing the daughter he'd pampered to no end could be so dreadful to the daughter he'd give nothing to for years. I'm embarrassed about the values Monica has learned, despite having everything she ever wanted, he thought, before turning resolute. Therefore, it's only fair that she be exposed and taught a lesson. Don't you dare try such tricks again under my roof. I may not be around much, but I'm no fool, he told Monica, emotionlessly. Rachel watched, nervous about what Michael might do next. She'd never seen him so angry, let alone at Monica. She glanced at Olivia and saw her mocking smile. This is Olivia's fault. Look at how her being here has changed the relationship between my daughter and Michael. Still, Olivia wasn't the biggest thing to fear in this house. No, looking into her husband's eyes, seeing how angry and disappointed he was in their daughter, Rachel knew that right now, nothing was worse than Michael's wrath. Monica, you'll go to your room right now, and you're grounded for the rest of the month, Michael boomed. But Daddy, Monica tried to reason with him. Mom's party is in. You'll miss her party, Michael said sternly. What? No! Rachel looked nervously at him. I need her there, she thought. We can't debut Olivia to all our friends and to Manhattan society and not have Monica there to remind everyone we still have a legitimate daughter. Honey, Rachel said softly to Michael, don't you think you're being a little harsh? What if we began her punishment after my birthday? This isn't a debate, Michael said. This is what she will get. But she's never been in trouble before, Rachel countered. She's never even been grounded before. That's because she's never done something so hideous and reprehensible. That I know of, at least. He eyed Monica. Is this who you really are? He asked, his voice accusatory. Sneaking into someone's room and destroying their things? Yes, Olivia thought. Yes, this is who she is. Is this your influence? Michael said, his head snapping towards Melanie. Melanie backed up defensively, her eyes going wide. What? No, this was all her idea. Melanie pointed at Monica, who looked stunned. Oh, this is good, Olivia thought. stifling an amused smile. How quickly they turn on each other. It was both of our ideas, Monica insisted. No, you came up with it, Melanie argued. Well, you went along with it. Girls, Rachel yelled, enough. I can't have them turning on each other now, she thought. Not over Olivia. I refuse to let her be the end of their beautiful friendship. If we want to rid our house of that girl, we'll all need to be on the same team. Olivia watched Rachel frantically think about how to do damage control. Melanie, why don't we arrange for you to go home now? I'll call my sister and tell her we're having Richard drive you home. We don't need to tell them the real reason. We'll just say you were homesick. No, Michael's voice boomed, interrupting his wife. He coldly glanced at Melanie. You will go home, and I will tell your father personally what you and Monica did. Melanie, frightened, instinctively took a step back. This was the first time she had been sent home in the middle of the night. She knew she would definitely be scolded by her parents, but she was also a victim. That bitch Olivia cut my hair. This isn't fair, she thought. But she knew not to say such things aloud. She'd never seen Michael so mad, and wasn't about to be the object of his anger. Still, privately, she fumed. I can't believe Olivia's not in trouble. Hearing Melanie's thoughts, Olivia turned towards her and smiled. It was merely retaliation, Olivia thought in response. It was the only way to ensure you would leave me alone. My father understands that. Everyone was busy watching Michael begin scolding Monica again, so when Melanie and Olivia locked eyes, Olivia stretched out her right hand and gave a dainty little farewell gesture, as if to say, Toodaloo. Melanie's eyes narrowed. She was so angry she stomped her feet, but maintained her composure so Michael didn't turn his attention back to her. You slut, Melanie whispered to Olivia, low enough so nobody else could hear. Are you satisfied now? This is all your fault. Is it? Olivia shot back. You guys crept out of Monica's room in the middle of the night and snuck into my room. You gonna blame me for that too? Melanie shook her head in frustration, clenching her teeth. I'm not going to let you get away with this, Melanie thought. Your dad might, but I won't. Before she could do anything more, a servant tapped her on the shoulder and asked if she was ready to go home. Now where was I? Michael was saying to Monica. You'll have no friends over, no allowance, and no privileges for the next month. You'll miss Rachel's birthday. I understand many of your friends will be coming to that, because their parents are our friends as well, but you will have no interaction. Do you understand me? Monica shifted uneasily, squirming, like she wanted to scream. But, no, it's a yes or no question. Do you understand me? Monica exhaled, giving up. Yes, she whispered finally, eyes on the ground. Good, and apologize to your elder sister. Although she wanted to tear Olivia apart, Monica was more afraid of her dad right now. She said with a trembling, soft voice, Sorry, I was wrong. And I'm warning you, if you do this again next time, I will give you a heavier punishment, Michael added. Michael, she already knows she was wrong, Rachel told her husband. Monica wept openly on the floor, holding her tattered dress, as if she was the victim. It was a pathetic sight, Olivia thought, as all the servants just watched on. Maybe I can talk him out of borrowing her from my birthday, Rachel thought as Olivia eavesdropped. Maybe I can explain that Olivia has been antagonizing Monica, and this wasn't entirely Monica's fault. Why don't we all go to bed now? Rachel suggested, like she was the voice of reason. I think we've had an emotional night, and we could all use some sleep. She took a few steps towards her daughter when she heard Michael say, I'm not quite finished yet. Rachel froze as she and everyone else looked at Michael. Michael then turned and fixed his gaze on Hector. You, he said, voice guttural. I still have to deal with you. Watching this, Olivia smiled. You lied to me, Michael said to Hector, and helped Monica and Melanie knowingly perpetrate their schemes. He shook his head. It's one thing for two teen girls to do something so misguided, but you're a grown man. Michael said this last sentence with vitriol and disgust, like he was spitting the words out because they tasted horrible. Tell me, why would you do such a thing? Victimizing a young girl? My own daughter? Do you hate me, Hector? Are you trying to make me want to kill you because it's working? Hector's eyes went wide, and Olivia could see sweat collecting on his brow as he shook his head and quickly tried to explain himself. No, sir, no, that's not what happened. He stuttered through his justification, and Olivia could watch him trying to come up with an excuse in his head to no avail. Finally, he said, No, I didn't see the girls. You're right. I shouldn't have said I saw them all talking around 8:15, but Monica had such conviction, and I love her like a daughter. He looked up at Michael's disapproving face, then said, Well, no, not like a daughter. I just mean I've known her for her whole life, and I thought she was telling the truth, and you just didn't believe her, so I thought maybe if I just corroborated her story, maybe you wouldn't punish her or her cousin. I was just trying to save them from punishment. Michael shook his head. But you were willing to watch my other daughter be punished. He couldn't believe it. You just lied without knowing who was telling the truth? Hector muttered. I trusted. I see how it sounds now. He acquiesced finally. I am sorry, sir. I apologize from the bottom of my heart. I hope you can forgive me. There will be no forgiveness for a man who lies and hurts a child, Michael said. No, Rachel thought. Olivia watched the words form in her mind. No, if he's gone, I'll lose my biggest ally on the staff. I need him. Honey, Rachel said to Michael, but he turned and looked at her with such anger in his eyes, she took 2 steps back. You chose to insert yourself into the petty dramas of children, Michael told Hector. So I must punish you like a child. Sir, Hector tried to say. Sir, I've worked in your mansion for many years, and I've made many contributions. No one knows how this house operates like me. I assure you I'll never do this again. Then you should have known better, Michael yelled. I'll give you a choice. You either pack your things and leave immediately, or I will take you outside and take out my rage as a father on you personally, man to man, for what you did to my daughter. Olivia felt warm inside. In her last life, her father had never stood up for her like this. Then again, she never stood up for herself. So clearly, doing so was having a positive ripple effect in this life. The more she took her life into her own hands, the more others could follow her example and rally around her. This is proof I'm on the right course, she told herself, that I'm doing all the things I didn't do in my last life, righting all the wrongs. Hector bowed his head. I'll pack my things, he muttered. What was that? Michael said. It was like he relished humiliating Hector. Olivia couldn't help but snicker slightly. I said I will pack my things, Hector repeated, louder this time. Excellent, Michael nodded, then turned and addressed his entire staff. Let this be a lesson to you all. Should any one of you treat one of my daughters better than the other, you will be met with the same punishment. In this house we value honesty, equality, and justice. Am I understood? Yes, sir, all the servants said in unison, all of them stunned by the fact that Hector, the senior-most servant who had served for over a decade in his position, was being let go. Olivia could see from reading their minds that it was the first time many of them had seen Michael lose his temper. Nobody on the staff will look down on me anymore, Olivia thought, reassured. Even if they don't believe it themselves, they'll have to treat me as a lady of means from now on, an equal to Monica, and even to Rachel. The thought soothed her. It felt like a major victory. Now accompany Hector to his room, Michael told a group of maids. See to it that he packs up his belongings and keep an eye on him until he's out the front door. I don't trust him. His words were dripping with disdain. Once Monica was sent to her room, and a group of maids accompanied Hector back to his quarters to pack up. The servants returned to their rooms one after another. Olivia could tell they were all shocked by what had happened and would not sleep tonight. Olivia quietly walked up to her father and addressed him. "Dad, thank you for believing me." Michael said nothing, and his mind was blank, as if this whole farce had taken it all out of him. If it's all right with you, I'm going to try to get quiet and get some rest now," Olivia said, unsure what else she could say. "Olivia," he said gently, prompting her to look up at him. His eyes softened as he regarded her with the tenderness she hadn't seen all evening. "This kind of thing will never happen again. You can live here peacefully." Michael looked away. No matter what, I must bear some responsibility for what happened tonight, he thought. I brought Olivia home but did not properly protect her. It was no wonder that even my own staff dared to be so arrogant and help my younger daughter make false accusations. I need to show everyone Olivia is my daughter and deserves respect, just like Monica. "Thank you." Olivia smiled and nodded her head. "Good night, Dad." This is exactly what she wanted to hear. So, she thought, climbing into bed a few moments later, though she would be unable to sleep at all. Turns out, my counter-offensive was successful after all. That should teach Monica to try to scheme against me. Of course, if her last life was any indication, Monica wouldn't stop at just one scheme. Olivia would just have to be ready. Monica sat in her own bed crying inconsolable when there was a knock at the door. "What do you want?" Monica groaned. When she looked up, she saw her mother gently turning the doorknob and entering the room. Rachel came and sat on the bed beside her daughter, stroking her hair as she cried. "Can you believe she got away with cutting Melanie's hair?" Monica yelped through tears. "He only punished me, but look at how Mel looks now. Mommy, it's like she knew we were coming in there. We weren't even going to do anything bad. It was just a little prank, and she basically disfigured my cousin." "I know, sweetie," Rachel replied, though the term disfigure was a little bit of an exaggeration. "This isn't over," Monica said, shaking her head. "I'm going to make her pay." "No," Rachel stopped her. "Hey, Monica, listen, right now, you and Melanie need to just say sorry." "Why?" "Because you started it and your father is upset, so he's going to side with Olivia." "But that's not fair." Rachel knew there was no reasoning with her daughter when Monica was in one of her moods, throwing a tantrum. She wished her daughter was slightly more mature. It would help so much with her social standing, if only she could just comport herself better around others. "Sweetheart, listen to me," Rachel said. "I agree that since coming here, Olivia has thrown off the balance in this house. But you can't be the bad guy, okay? You need to let her show herself to be the bad guy." Monica's brows furrowed. "How? How do I do that?" "Well, first you have to be patient, and you can't strike out at her every time she annoys you, or it will be obvious you're antagonizing her. If you want to get Olivia back, you'll have to be more patient and calculated." Rachel thought about what to do. She couldn't tolerate much more of Olivia coming in and making Monica look bad, while Olivia solidified her place in this household. It was clear that the better Olivia's life became in this household and family, the more precarious Monica's inheritance and position in the family became. Even Rachel knew that her own daughter didn't have the temperament to take on the family business or to be married off to a really successful family, because Monica could be so explosive. "I just have to make Olivia look even worse than that, even less dependable and stable, so Michael doesn't trust the future of the Johnson fortune to his older daughter, and once again puts his faith in Monica. The more of an outsider Olivia seems, the better Monica will appear." "What do you suggest?" Monica asked her mom. "Well, for starters, I'm going to need you to act a bit more mature around your father," Rachel replied. Monica rolled her eyes. "Starting with the eye rolls," Rachel added. "Less petulance, more patience. And then, leave it to me to think up what to do next with Olivia. You trust me, right? She looked at her daughter tenderly. Have I ever steered you wrong as your mother? Monica shook her head. No. That's right. I'm your mom, and I'm always going to look out for you. And whatever stands in your way in life stands in my way. In her room, Olivia tried to read the thoughts of everyone in the house, but she discovered she was too far away to do so, and it was too late to go roaming the halls, standing outside people's doors. For all she knew, her father was standing guard in front of Monica's door, just waiting to see if he could catch her scheming again, or making sure she stayed in her room. So Olivia sat in bed, buzzing from the victory. It felt good to see Melanie and Monica fail so catastrophically, and the cherry on top had been seeing Hector shake as Michael berated him in front of the rest of the servants. Still, Olivia had sort of wished she could get Hector back himself. Over the last few days, he'd needled and poked and prodded her as much as possible, and his condescending attitude irked her, but she'd finally watched him get his comeuppance. Still, part of her felt like it wasn't enough. Olivia didn't feel satiated. She wanted Hector to suffer more. She vowed the other day when she read his mind that she was going to get even, and now was left feeling like things had been left unresolved almost. Sure, he'd been fired, but did he actually personally pay for all the hell and torture he'd put her through? No, Olivia thought. No, he's getting off easy. And if I let him, he'll think he can just treat people atrociously. And the worst that'll happen is he just has to clear out his room and find another job. No, he needs to know you can't treat people like dirt, and side with bullies, and terrorize young girls' lives and get away with it. And if I have to be the one to teach him that lesson, she nodded, then so be it. As Olivia thought this, an idea popped into her mind, and she glanced towards the bay window nearest her bed. There was a trellis just below it, and if she was careful, she might actually be able to climb down to the gardens below. A mischievous little grin spread across her face as the beginnings of a wonderful little plan took shape. You're going to be sorry for the things you said about me and my mom, Olivia thought, and for the things you put me through in my last life, Hector Pugh. She knew if he hadn't fought back this time around, her life would have quickly turned out like her last one had because of Rachel, Monica, and Hector. The thought sent a shiver down Olivia's spine. You shouldn't have hurt me and taunted me for all those years, she thought, because now you're going to wish you'd never met me. Olivia turned her lights off and then crept over to her window, making sure to open it quietly so as not to attract any attention to herself. She peered out, looking down, then to her left and to her right, to make sure there weren't any servants walking the grounds. Everybody's either trying to get back to sleep or busy making sure Hector is packing up, she thought. Good. While the servants were distracted, Olivia decided to act. She quietly climbed out of her window and onto the vine-covered trellis that scaled the wall directly below. Getting a good grip, she quickly but carefully made her way down, finding toeholds in the latticework as she went so she didn't fall. When she reached the bottom, she drew in a deep breath. She could feel her adrenaline coursing through her, a mix of nervous anticipation and excitement, knowing what was to come. Once she got her bearings, Olivia ran through the garden, making sure to stay in the shadows, as she made her way to the property's 6-car garage. The building was set up about a football field away from the main house, so she was relatively confident she wouldn't encounter anyone inside. It was originally built as a carriage house back in the 1880s, though Michael mentioned that in the last 4 decades it had undergone various updates and renovations. Now it stored the family's fleet of cars, as well as a gym, a rec room, and additional storage. Olivia looked around one last time, then slipped inside the garage through its back door. She turned on her phone's flashlight so she could see, and then made her way towards the rec room. She shone her light against the back wall, revealing a bike rack that held bicycles of all types and sizes. Mountain bikes, beach cruisers, a bicycle with training wheels, anything one might need. The room also had kayaks, fishing poles, a little two-person boat, and a canoe, though she was sure nobody in the Johnson family mansion had ever canoed before. Olivia headed for a bike rack and unlocked one of the cruisers. She tested its tires and got onto it to make sure she felt comfortable riding it. "This'll do," she thought, wheeling it towards the back door. No turning back now. She grinned as she rode the bicycle along the property's hiking trails, all the way until she reached the main road that butted up against the property's north side. Then she rode along the road for another 3 miles or so. She was tired since she still hadn't slept, but the excitement of what was to come kept her going. When she reached a sharp turn in the road, Olivia decided to pull to the side and catch her breath. She would wait here, she decided. Dawn was quickly approaching, and she hoped her plan would work so she'd have time to get back undetected before the morning shift servants woke up to begin preparing the house for breakfast. Olivia looked over her shoulder, back at the road. Where is he? She wondered. Once Hector left the mansion, he would surely come down this road on his way into town, where he lived. For a second, she panicked. What if he goes the other way, though? What if I lose my chance to get him back? No, she assured herself. Be patient. He still has to pack up all his belongings, and he probably has to say goodbye to everyone. It doesn't happen immediately. As she tried to distract herself so she didn't make herself crazy wondering if Hector would ever come, Olivia turned away from the street. This stretch of remote road ran directly parallel to the Hudson River, and in the dead of night she could hear the whooshing of it as it roared past her, a few 100 feet below. The September air was crisp, and for a moment, Olivia did nothing but close her eyes to take it in. Since coming to live with her dad, she'd been constantly moving, so taking a moment to be still felt necessary and long overdue. Of course, just as she thought this, she saw the glimmer of headlights in the distance. She scooted her bike further into the brush by the side of the road, concealing it from the view, and she crouched down low in the grass. Is it him? She wondered. Most of the servants used the Johnson cars to get around and took the bus into town or to visit their families on their days off. But Hector was permitted to have his own car on the property because he'd been there so long and because he often ran errands for Rachel, and so he came and went as he pleased. Olivia had come to dread seeing his cylindrical headlights coming up the driveway in her last life. It always meant one of her tormentors was returning home, one of the conspirators who made her life a living hell. Now, though, when those same cylindrical headlights came into view just a few 100 yards ahead of her, Olivia smiled. Yes, she thought. I've never been happier to see you, Hector. Inside his car, Hector muttered under his breath. I should have never helped the little one out. But the older one, she's a little witch. She's up to something, I know it. How did she... I can't believe this. He was disgruntled and angry, and he vowed to come back and argue his case to Michael once everyone had time to cool off and get some rest. He knew it was pointless to try to save his job now. But soon, Michael would see how essential Hector was. They need me there, he murmured. I'm irreplaceable, I'm important. Hector thought so highly of himself he even ventured to say, I may be the best butler anyone has ever had. Stupid Mr. Johnson doesn't see that yet, but he will. Rachel will convince him. She always does. She works him like a puppet, and he's too stupid to even know. Outside the car, as Hector got closer, Olivia heard Hector's thoughts as he mumbled them aloud to himself, and she furrowed her brow. Don't talk about my father that way, Olivia said, suddenly protective of the man who had come to her aid so quickly earlier tonight. You really should learn to keep your mouth shut, Hector. Hector, for his part, kept droning on and on about how stupid Michael was, and how much he'd regret his decision. As he came around the sharp bend in the road, however, Hector felt his right hand suddenly jerk his wheel to the right. His car jerked to the right in response. He looked down, terrified, as he put both hands on the wheel and took his foot off the gas as he quickly course-corrected. What just happened? He thought. Did my hand just slip? No, it felt like it seized up on me, like suddenly I didn't control it anymore. He shook his right hand, then stretched out his fingers as he kept his eyes on the road, nervous. "Is this stress?" he asked himself, promising to take a sleeping pill and go to sleep when he got to his family's house, where he stayed on the rare occasions when he wasn't at the mansion. He hadn't told them that he was coming home, nor that he'd been let go from his job, because it was still the middle of the night. But he would tell them tomorrow morning, once they woke up, and he'd act like this was a blessing, like it had been his choice, so his family would welcome him and not worry that he would quickly become a sponge, mooching off them for food and lodging. He sighed and began to relax again, putting his foot on the gas to give the car a little more power. He couldn't get home fast enough. Just as he started picking up speed, however, Hector saw a small light appear in the road ahead of him. Is that a flashlight?" he thought. As he got closer, he noticed the light was attached to an arm. "There's a person up ahead," he thought, trying to make sense of what he was seeing. A young girl? Olivia?" he muttered, unsure, squinting his eyes to try and get a better look. What would she be doing here? But before he could answer, both of his hands suddenly clenched the steering wheel, as if possessed by a force outside himself. He stared down at the wheel as his hands turned it hard all the way to the right. His car started veering off the road, so Hector tried to unclasp his fingers from the steering wheel and right the car again, as he took his foot off the gas pedal. But his foot wouldn't budge. His grip was so tight his knuckles were white. "No! No!" he shouted, not understanding what was happening. He was going too fast to stop now, and he had made a hard right, so he was almost perpendicular to the road, driving straight for the hillside. He looked to the left where Olivia stood and saw her fists clenched, both of them yanked all the way over to her right hip. "You!" he shouted, "you!" His car skidded off the road and careened off the hillside before he could finish his sentence. In the few seconds his car was weightless, Hector realized that in his eagerness to get home, he'd almost completely forgotten that he was driving next to a large, moving body of water. It wasn't until he plowed through the guardrail on the remote stretch of road and the nose of his car tipped downwards that he even thought, "That's the Hudson, isn't it?" That was the last thing Olivia heard him think. Seconds later, she heard the smashing of glass and metal and the thud of a body being thrust against the hood of a car. A large, imposing body that had spent too much of its life making others miserable. Nobody would think to look for him, Olivia grinned. Michael had told Hector never to show his face in Manhattan society again. Told him he'd never recommended him for a job and his life was finished. So no one would think twice if he disappeared forever. And because poor little Hector hadn't yet told his family he'd been let go, they'd think nothing of it if he just never came home. He spent so much time with the Johnsons anyway. They'd just figure he thought himself too good to ever return to his humble beginnings. It wouldn't be a stretch to think that sniveling suck-up of a man would leave his own family behind for a chance at a higher station in life. It's a shame, Olivia thought, that nobody's even going to notice you're gone. She nodded, laughed to herself gleefully. What a perfectly fitting end indeed. Now, if she could only just make Rachel or Monica disappear as easily. As soon as Melanie Cooper stepped foot inside her family's palatial Tudor-style home, her parents reprimanded her. "Michael called us already and told us everything," her father scolded. "So don't try to tell us some sugar-coated version of what you did while you were over there. Trying to destroy the reputation of Michael's eldest daughter? What has gotten into you? Don't you know how things work in our world?" "I do, Daddy, Melanie collapsed into tears before she could finish her sentence. Of course she understood how things worked. Life in the upper echelon of society was all about reputation and connections, which is why Melanie was normally so well composed and well-mannered. And the Johnson and Cooper families were close, not just tied by blood, but by business relationships. They owned companies that had merged into conglomerates, and members of each family sat on the board of directors of the other family's holdings. But that's also why she and Monica had done what they'd done to Olivia, because Olivia didn't belong here. She was so obviously an outsider who was trying to take everything that Monica had been groomed to inherit when she herself came of age. It wasn't fair that some outsider would come in and swoop it all away, especially one as arrogant and money-hungry as Olivia. But the anger in Melanie's father's eyes told her she couldn't say that to him. Not right now. So she just sobbed. Melanie's mother, watching her daughter cry in a heap on the checkered black and white marble floor, wanted to run over and help. "Oh, sweetheart," she said as Melanie buried her head in her hands, her short, jagged haircut both repulsing her and breaking her heart. "Sweetheart, what happened to your—" "You know what happened, darling," Melanie's father interrupted. "The question is, how could she let that happen? Michael told us you snuck into the girl's room with a pair of scissors, and in the dark she fought you off, thinking you were a thief, or worse. What did you expect, Melanie? Honestly, what if this gets out? What if people start talking about you? Your school could expel you for this." Melanie went to the Barron School, a strict all-girls school that had a stringent code of ethics. If they caught wind of any bad behavior, it would be immediate grounds for expulsion. The thought only made Melanie cry harder. "First, you lose a tooth over at Monica's house," her father muttered in disbelief. "Then you pick a fight with a helpless girl and lose your hair? I think Monica may be a bad influence on you. You've never suffered mishaps like this before." "No, father, please, it's not Monica. It's that new girl," Melanie pleaded. "It's Olivia." Melanie wept openly before her parents, but Melanie's mother knew not to console her. Her husband was right. Melanie could damage her reputation and needed to learn from this. Not only that, but Melanie's actions could reflect poorly on the entire Cooper family. People would think that they didn't know how to raise respectable children if word got out what Melanie had done to the new Johnson girl, or if people knew the reason behind her new, very unfortunate haircut. "We need to do something with your hair," her mother declared, unable to hide her disdain for it. "Can we claim there's some Parisian trend you were going for, or some actress or artist you were attempting to emulate?" She had to look away. It was too upsetting. "Go shower," she muttered, "and in the morning we'll figure out what to do with that." Melanie ran up the large spiral staircase that hugged the giant entryway to the Cooper mansion. But instead of running to her own room, she ran down the hall and to her older sisters. Because they had older, more conservative parents, the two Cooper sisters had formed a close bond, confiding in each other first before anyone else. They often joked about their stuffy parents together and also acted as each other's confidants when things weren't going well. For Melanie, her sister Beatrix had always been her protector and idol. After a short pause, Beatrix opened her door. The artsy, alt-rock music she'd been listening to streaming out through the crack in the door. As soon as she saw Melanie's messy, jagged haircut, her eyes widened. "What the hell happened?" Melanie just sobbed. "You have to help me. You have to help me get her back." A flash of ruthlessness flashed across Beatrix's face. "Someone did this to you?" "Yes, it's Monica's new fake sister, the one who doesn't belong. She's moved in and she's pure evil. She's bitchy and dismissive, and she doesn't know her place. She talks back. We planned to play this innocent little prank on her. It was funny, really, but look what she did to me. Beatrix, she practically maimed me. You need to help me get her back." Beatrix took in everything her little sister said and contemplated it silently for a moment. "First off, stop crying so loudly," Beatrix said finally. She didn't mince words and could come off harsh, even with those she loved most. But she was honest and loyal, which made up for her poor bedside manner. "You have to learn to control your emotions so people can't see when they've hurt you. Trust me, it gives you an upper hand. And second, don't worry. I'll make sure this Olivia girl knows she messed with the wrong family. Nobody hurts my little sister and gets away with it." Beatrix's words immediately soothed Melanie, and a smile slowly returned to her face. Her sister seemed to possess the gift of always knowing the right thing to say to calm Melanie down. "Now, going forward, I want you to be nothing but kind to this girl, okay? And let me take care of her?" Melanie smiled. her crying trickling down to mere sniffles now. "Okay," she said quietly. "And don't depend on Auntie Rachel to have your back anymore either," Beatrix added, her eyes suddenly growing colder. Clearly, she doesn't have as much power over there as she thought, or as she once had. Otherwise, it's Olivia who would have been punished and not you or Monica. Besides, Auntie Rachel's so thirsty. She'd sacrifice pretty much anyone but her own daughter for a chance at more status, money, or power. Hearing Beatrix say this, Melanie felt even more aggrieved. She pursed her lips and asked, "Do you really believe that? I don't want to turn on Auntie Rachel and Monica." Beatrix shook her head. "I'm not saying you have to turn on them. I'm saying just don't depend on them to look out for you. Because look what happened just now when you did. Look at your hair. Look at how Mom and Dad yelled at you. So let's not trust her to help us if we want to get revenge on that little Olivia brat." Melanie began crying again, so Beatrix hugged her and muttered, "It's fine. I'll always be by your side, all right?" Outside, they heard the rumblings of an approaching storm. Melanie hated thunder. It always scared her, and she already felt pretty anxious after everything that happened tonight. "Hey," Beatrix whispered, "did you hear me? I said I got you. We're gonna get her back." Melanie drew in a deep breath, then nodded. "Okay." Beatrix looked from her sister's eyes to the top of her hair. "Now we gotta do something about that hair first, though, because that ain't cute." She started giggling in a manner that was disarming enough to get Melanie to laugh too. And suddenly it felt like the tension had been cut, and life was maybe going to be bearable again. "Come on, let's look at cute short styles online for some inspo." She opened her laptop. "Tomorrow we can call Javier my stylist. He'll know what to do." Before she opened her web browser, she looked at her social media. "Wait, you said that girl's name is Olivia Johnson, right?" Beatrix asked. "Yeah," Melanie nodded. Beatrix typed Olivia's name into her search bar. "Perfect. I want to see who I'm working with. Makes it easier to take her down." Her lips curled up into a wry smile. "Strange," Richard Coors, Hector's replacement, said to one of the maids the morning after Hector was fired in front of all the other servants. Beside them, Morris Bratt sat drinking a coffee, waiting for Michael Johnson to come downstairs so he could drive him to work. "What's strange?" the maid asked Richard, only half paying attention as she polished silverware. "Hector was supposed to call me this morning regarding a few outstanding matters of business, to let me know the codes to the wine cellar doors, where the keys for the storage containers and garden lockers out back are, and so on." The maid laughed. "Good luck," she said, shaking her head. "The way he was fired? He'll never show his face here again, is my guess. Just cut the locks and start over. Or ask Ron or Glenn, they'll probably know." Richard contemplated this. Maybe it wasn't so bad that he hadn't heard from Hector all morning. Richard had privately worried that he'd be stuck trying to fill Hector's big shoes in his absence, but maybe this clean break was the perfect way to assert his own power. Besides, if Hector looked like a villain who left the house a poor sport, unwilling to train his predecessor, then that only made Richard look better. He nodded. "Very well then," he said. "If that's the way he wants to leave, then I'll let him. His loss." Olivia, who had been listening to Richard's thoughts before entering the kitchen, suddenly pushed through the swinging double doors and began talking immediately. "Morris, there you are," she said, her voice sing-songy and light. After doing away with Hector, she'd snuck back to her bedroom, crawled into bed, and had the sweetest sleep she'd had in days. Was she still tired after waking up? Sure, but using powers to vanquish your enemies will do that. And did she think she'd be able to use those powers again immediately? No, probably not. But once she mastered them more, she would. Still, she felt effervescent, like her whole body was still buzzing, even hours after she'd sent Hector hurling over a cliff into the Hudson. "Do you remember how I asked you to hold on to one of my shopping bags for me?" she asked Morris discreetly, out of earshot of Richard and the maid. Olivia no longer trusted the servants not to eavesdrop or meddle in her personal business. Morris nodded. "Yes, ma'am." She smiled, happy everything she'd arranged was going according to plan. Perfect. Do you think I could have it back now? Of course, Miss Johnson. Morris bowed. He motioned for her to follow him to his car, where he'd kept her bag in a secure compartment normally reserved for Michael's work documents. Morris handed over Olivia's shopping bag. Here you are. Thank you, Morris. Olivia grinned. She impatiently pulled her dress from the bag to admire it. It was even more gorgeous than she'd remembered. The white crisscross collar with the diamonds was spectacular, and she could imagine the impressed look she was going to get when she wore it to Rachel's party. And unlike the green dress that Monica had destroyed, it was vintage, drama-free, and all Olivia's. Olivia almost squealed with excitement when she held the dress up to her body. I'm going to go try out different hairstyles with it now, she thought. May I ask, Morris said, watching Olivia, what is that dress for? The banquet, she grinned. She'd always planned on wearing it, because she knew the other one would be destroyed. That's one of the perks of getting to live your life twice. Hindsight becomes foresight, she mused, and you can plan accordingly. As soon as Olivia stepped out onto the terrace at Rachel's long-awaited birthday banquet, she could hear the thoughts of various guests. Wow, who's that? She's stunning. That dress. I need to know where she got that dress. She's quite pretty. I think it might be a 1998 Versace, but don't quote me on that. Is that Michael's other daughter? It was an instant ego boost hearing such compliments, especially because she knew they were genuine. It was one thing for someone to tell you you're pretty, or have a nice outfit. That could just be good manners. But to actually think something, in the privacy of one's mind, that's where the truth lived. Olivia sashayed over to Rachel, herself in a striking red gown. Auntie Rachel, she said, knowing it annoyed Rachel to be called this. Happy birthday. Olivia was all smiles and charm. Today it's about killing them with kindness, she thought, and grace and eloquence, and dazzling everyone as my dad introduces me to society. In her past life, her introduction may have irreparably damaged her reputation. But this time around, she was looking to get a leg up, and then some. She was going to make sure everyone wanted to know her. Thanks, Olivia, Rachel said through gritted teeth. Rachel loathed that despite the whole dress fiasco, Olivia was not only able to find a new, gorgeous dress to wear today, but also that she was dressed appropriately and elegantly for the occasion. Rachel thought about her own daughter, who was still lying in bed upstairs, grounded, and unable to participate in today's activities. This is supposed to be my day, Rachel thought, as she looked around the terrace at the live jazz quartet serenading her arriving guests. But I can't even enjoy it because my own daughter isn't allowed to be here, and this interloper is here, meeting all the friends I've worked for years to win over. The worst part was that all eyes were on her, so she had to maintain a smile the whole time and pretend she was enjoying herself. This might be the worst birthday I've ever had. As long as it made Rachel uncomfortable, Olivia would be exceptionally happy. She looked around, smiling, greeting various people whenever her dad called her over to say hello, and being as gracious and agreeable as possible. Her dad smiled at her, proud. I'm so glad you're here, he said warmly, a stark contrast to the words he'd shouted at Monica the other night. Checkmate, Olivia thought. Me too, she agreed. Before she could say any more, a girl said, Olivia? Over her shoulder, and Olivia turned to see who the unfamiliar voice belonged to. Melanie, she said, surprised. Melanie's voice was higher than usual, and sweeter, and Melanie was smiling at her while wearing a red and white striped gown. It wasn't one of the ones Rachel had let her try on. This one was more conservative. She resembled a run-over peppermint. Maybe her parents made her wear this as a punishment, Olivia mused. How do you do? Melanie said, with a small curtsy. She was flanked by a few friends on either side of her. Olivia recognized a few of them from Monica's little party the other day. I'm doing well, Olivia responded through a cordial smile. And you? Are you enjoying yourself this evening? It certainly promises to be a lovely, entertaining party, I'd say, Melanie said, and her friends nodded behind her. So she's being charming and well-spoken and kind today, too, Olivia thought. Looks like we have that in common. And she can fake it better than Monica can, I'll give her that. Olivia looked at Melanie's short hair and resisted the urge to laugh. It looked like an attempt at a pixie cut, but on a person who completely lacked any edge. So the result was more of a little boy's haircut that felt completely flat, despite the amount of styling mousse that had clearly been professionally applied. Some girls are just too basic to take style risks, Olivia thought. Such a shame. She pursed her lips. Did you change your hairstyle? It's quite energetic. Melanie glowered at Olivia and looked like she was about to pounce on her and strangle her with her bare hands. She stepped close to Liv and lowered her voice, so not even her friends a few feet behind her could hear her. You have guts saying that. But watch out. If you think this is bad, you might end up looking a hell of a lot worse if you're not careful. Who said anything about you looking bad? Olivia remarked innocently. If you feel ugly, that's something you might want to take up with your parents. Bitch, Melanie spit out angrily. Don't let her get to you, the girl in the pink dress on Melanie's right said. Ameliorating Melanie. She's just a poor girl born out of wedlock from who knows where. Does she really think that she is the oldest Miss Johnson, who's like a real part of this family? No, we're just humoring her until Monica's a little older, and then Michael's gonna give Mon the keys to the castle when he retires, and this Randall will be kicked to the curb. My cousin told me they're just using her as a placeholder to, solidify some deals. Pour her out to the Jones family so the son has someone to date, that sort of thing. The girl giggled. Who does this girl think she is? Olivia wondered. Her words stung. Is she really calling me a whore? Do people really think I'm just here to help shore up some deals between important families? As the girl spoke, Olivia realized she'd seen her before in her past life. She was one of Melanie and Monica's little minions, and this one had a habit of saying especially cutting things. Things, for example, that directly played into Olivia's deepest insecurities. Her name was Sadie Diaz, and her family had made billions running textile manufacturing plants across the country. Sadie had been adopted into the Diaz family when she was little. Reading Sadie's thoughts, Olivia could see that Sadie hadn't actually heard any rumors about Olivia, except for what Melanie and Monica told her. She just wanted to be liked by Monica and Melanie, so she said the most vicious things she could possibly think of, to make them think she was useful. Privately, Sadie just wanted to make people feel as bad as she did, since she'd been abandoned by her birth parents. I'm no placeholder, Olivia said confidently, vowing not to let Sadie's harsh words get to her. If anything, people were just warming my seat before I got here, and I know where I came from. Do you know where you come from, Sadie? Your original parents gave you up, right? You're adopted? Sadie's eyebrows shot up and she froze in shock. You're probably wondering how I know all that. Well, I guess I'm not the only one people talk about then. The rumor mill is quite vocal about you. Olivia shrugged. You should hear what they've written about you in the boys' bathroom. I hear it's salacious. I wasn't even being serious, Sadie worried as Olivia scanned her thoughts. Do people really talk about me? Are they saying I was unwanted? Do guys say bad things about me? Sadie's face turned red. The Diaz family was very influential in New York. Normally, no one would dare to say anything about Sadie's background. Even she almost forgot she was adopted most days. Today, Sadie instantly felt that her character had been insulted. You have a sharp tongue, don't you? The girl on Melanie's right chimed in. Olivia recognized her from her last life, too. Haley Anderson, she thought as the name appeared in her mind. Haley's dad ran a corporate law firm in Manhattan, and technically speaking, her family wasn't wealthy or connected enough to really run in the circles attending this event. Nor was she wealthy enough to even attend the Marshall School. But Liv's dad had clients whose power overshadowed his own, and whose favors got him into every corner of society he wouldn't have been allowed to enter otherwise. For her part, Haley followed in her father's footsteps, schmoozing and sweet-talking her way into the most popular groups in middle and high school, being a walking yes man to the daughters of wealthier families, so they'd bring her along wherever they went. Olivia remembered that in her past life, Haley had eventually used her money connections to become one of the top lawyers in Manhattan herself. Savvy girl, Olivia thought, but completely predictable. Olivia sighed and shot Melanie a bored look. Are you really going to have your whole parade of idiots try to take turns insulting me? Because if so, can we just get through it quicker? I'm hungry, and the appetizers look delicious. Olivia smirked at Melanie's minions, who looked offended. Not that your insults aren't devastating. Well, I mean, they're not, but... Okay, they're not. So maybe we can just wrap this up. I know you guys are obsessed with me, but you can't take up all my time. None of these girls were worthy adversaries, not even Sadie, the one whose words could leave scars. Haley huffed, clearly irritated that Olivia had cut her off. I heard what you did to Mel, Haley squealed. Oh? Did she tell you why I did it? Did she tell you that Monica and her snuck? That's enough, Melanie squealed, her kind, charming demeanor faltering. She looked around and realized everyone in the vicinity was looking at her now. Shoot. She thought back to what her parents had said about not letting her actions ruin the family's reputation. It was probably best not to go around rehashing the events of the other night in that case. Girls, I think it's time we actually give our attention to something worthy of it. Not this trash. She shot Olivia a derisive look. If you'll excuse us, Miss Johnson, she said, her voice back to the high, sweet voice she clearly adopted for formal society events. Melanie. A 5'10" girl wearing a formal, navy black and white checkered dress glided over, her graceful figure appearing to float hypnotically as she moved. Her long, curly hair was draped over her shoulders, and her almond eyes were calm and serene. Her makeup looked elegant and expertly done. Cat eyes pointed to perfection, and she wore a faint smile on her face underneath her berry red lipstick. She looked almost porcelain to Olivia, with delicate features. Beatrix! Melanie's eyes lit up when she saw her sister approaching. She quickly walked towards her. Thank God, Melanie thought as Olivia eavesdropped. Hi, Beatrix, all of Melanie's said in unison, like a weird little people-pleasing choir. Mom was looking for you just now, Beatrix informed her sister. She had something to tell you. Good, Melanie said. We were just leaving Olivia anyway. Melanie knew Beatrix was just helping save her from further embarrassment after accidentally raising her voice, so she immediately turned and headed inside. Her little aristocratic gaggle of minions also dispersed, finding people to greet before teaming up inside by the dessert buffet. Olivia watched as Haley Anderson eyed Beatrix, trembling slightly. Olivia thought. So Melanie's sister is even more feared and revered than Melanie. Good to know. To outsiders, she looked gentle and graceful, the model of a noble, well-mannered young lady. But Olivia knew better. She hadn't run into Beatrix very often in her past life. Apparently, Melanie and Monica had tortured Liv enough on their own and didn't need to bring in reinforcements back then. But occasionally, Olivia had overheard Melanie telling Monica about instances where Beatrix would punish her servants harshly. The Cooper family was very tight-lipped, however, so they kept such secrets from outsiders. Apparently in this life, though, Olivia's decision to stand up for herself more and live life on her own terms wasn't just bringing about good changes. It was also attracting more powerful foes. Good to know, Olivia thought sarcastically. Have fun for me. You're Olivia, right? Beatrix smiled. Yep, and you are? Beatrix Cooper, Melanie's older sister. Ah, a pleasure to meet you. Olivia extended her hand and Beatrix locked eyes with her. For a second, Beatrix's face looked almost demonic, falling slightly as she revealed her inner rage behind her eyes for just a brief moment before she shook Olivia's hand daintily. In that exact instant, two things happened. One, Olivia thought, I may have just met a very dangerous enemy. And two, Olivia heard Beatrix think, I'm going to have so much fun hurting you. Beatrix Cooper was 2 years older than Olivia, and a half a head taller than her. In heels, she practically towered over Olivia. I can see why she's intimidating. even if she has an innocent smile and appears calm right now," Olivia conceded. "My younger sister sends her thanks to you for taking care of her when she came over the other day," Beatrix remarked facetiously. Her face was still wearing an elegant smile, but her eyes were fierce and dark. "Hey, that's just the hospitality she can expect from us Johnsons," Olivia replied. She fearlessly met Beatrix's eyes and raised the corner of her mouth. "When somebody treats us well, we welcome them with open arms. It's that sort of reciprocation you can come to depend on in my house." Beatrix sized up Olivia. "You really have done so much for my sister. I don't even know how to thank you, but I'm sure I could think of a way or two to try." Now she smirked at Olivia. This was a clear warning that Beatrix intended to retaliate. Olivia replied with a grin. "I haven't done enough for her." Beatrix let out a cordial laugh, but then her face turned serious. "Good. We're done playing nice," Olivia thought. "This little charade where we speak in code can only last so long." Beatrix stepped closer to Olivia and whispered, "Olivia, since you're new here, I feel I owe it to you to tell you. Lady to lady, you need to be more careful. People around here are different from whatever you may be used to. More complex, not as simple as your upbringing may have prepared you for." "Of course," Olivia replied. "I've always been very careful." Beatrix looked like she wanted to say more, but then smiled, looked around, and said, "Excuse me." Then she left Olivia standing on the terrace alone. "Have a lovely evening," Olivia called after her. Beatrix stopped and turned around before replying in a graceful manner. "You know, originally I wasn't sure if I would, but after seeing you with my own eyes, I am certain I will have a good time." "Me too," Olivia nodded. Beatrix glided away to greet a group of older women who had just arrived. Olivia stood where she was and watched, intrigued. Beatrix appeared unshakable and supremely confident, and she just demonstrated she could clearly go toe-to-toe with Olivia in well-mannered small talk all day. She'll certainly be a challenge, Olivia thought, especially since I didn't know her well in my past life, so I don't have the same gift of hindsight or any memories of her to help me prepare with how to deal with her. Olivia wasn't looking forward to having to face her, but what other choice did she have? Luckily, what I lack in intimate knowledge of Beatrix, I'll make up for with my powers. They would be essential in taking on Beatrix, Olivia decided. But the new Olivia wouldn't back down from any challenge. Olivia could tell the next few months wouldn't be as calm as she'd hoped, as long as Beatrix had live in her sights. But so what? Olivia thought. I've been given a second chance, and I'm not going to back down from anything. Better to live with a few bumps in the road than to not live at all. From her bedroom window on the second floor, Monica Johnson could look down at the left corner of the party and hear the live jazz quartet play. For the first half hour, she blasted pop music in her room in order to drown out the sounds of laughter and chatter, hoping that maybe she could simply ignore what was going on downstairs while she was forced to sit up here alone. But after a while, her curiosity got the better of her, so Monica went to the window, opened it, and peered out at the perfectly landscaped Johnson Gardens. Of course, the first person she saw was Olivia, standing in her elegant white gown and greeting guests. Monica couldn't suppress her anger. She let out a frustrated grunt as she wished she could smash the glass of punch Olivia held in her hand. Olivia clearly felt some eyes on her, because she suddenly looked over at Monica and raised her glass towards her, gesturing to Monica as if saying, "Cheers!" She wore a provocative smile, then drank all the punch in her glass and made a face that said, "This is so yummy! It's a shame you can't come down and try it." "You..." Seeing Olivia's provocation, Monica was about to slam her window shut when Olivia abruptly turned around and walked out of sight, to another part of the terraces below. Monica was so angry that she stomped her feet. I hate her so effing much," Monica fretted. The more Monica thought about it, the angrier she got. She turned around and swatted the cup of water she had on her desk, sending it flying in the air until it smashed into the wall and shattered into pieces. The maid that Michael Johnson had posted outside Monica's room to stand guard immediately knocked on the door and came in. "Miss Johnson, what happened? Is everything all right?" When she saw the glass on the floor, the maid quickly went to work cleaning it up. "Call my mom," Monica snapped. "But Madam is currently—" The maid was a little hesitant. Now that Rachel was downstairs receiving guests, wouldn't it be bad to call her upstairs now? Especially on such a festive night, when she was supposed to be having a good night. She shouldn't have to come tend to her moody daughter. Monica stared at the maid before losing her temper and roaring out, "Go! I want her now!" The maid nodded. "Okay, Miss Johnson." She ran from Monica's bedroom in a hurry. Monica bit her lower lip and looked back outside. If she craned her neck, she could still see Olivia. "This is so unfair," she thought. "How does she get to be down there mingling with everyone, and I have to be trapped in here? I feel like I'm in prison. This banquet was held for my mother's birthday, so it should be me and my mom who are the stars of the show tonight, not Olivia. Olivia's just a poor bastard anyway. I'm the real, rightful heiress to the Johnson family." Feeling indignant now, Monica went to her closet. If nobody else could see how important it was that she be at this party, she would just show them herself. She opened her wardrobe and looked inside, eyeing the clothing she had. After Michael cut up the gown she'd chosen for this event, Rachel had taken pity on Monica and offered her one of the other designer couture gowns from Daniel Loren's new collection as a consolation. "For another event," Rachel said. "It'll be something you can look forward to wearing." Now, though, Monica eyed the gown and pulled it off its hanger. "I'll wear it now," she thought, as she unzipped and then stepped into it. "And once I go downstairs, everybody will be so pleased to see me, and I will look so gorgeous and like I belong, unlike Olivia, that even Dad will understand I should be there, and he won't be able to stop me or send me back to my room." Downstairs, Olivia was still thinking about Monica after spotting her little half-sister watching her from the window. Rachel really seems to dote on Monica, Olivia thought. My room is dark and cold, and even though it's big, there's always a faint, damp smell. And while Monica's room is about the same size, hers faces the sun. The lighting is even better in hers than Rachel and my dad's bedroom. And Monica has the best view of the gardens from her room, too. It's like they spoil her, giving her the best room in the house. And look what that's turned her into. An entitled brat. Olivia couldn't understand why everyone thought Rachel was a model mother, or the apex of Manhattan society. Rachel was not only vicious, but she had created a monster in her own daughter. Olivia turned and, seeing Rachel greeting the noble ladies in front of her, smiled, an idea forming. Maybe I should chip away at Rachel's fake exterior, Olivia mused. She had noted that Rachel loved being the center of the conversation, and always steered the focus back to herself and whatever she wanted to discuss. It's actually quite impressive, Olivia admitted. Olivia noticed Rachel glancing over in her direction while mingling with her guests. Ugh, Rachel thought. Does there really have to be a reminder of Victoria at my party? Why does Michael insist on parading his daughter around at my birthday while my own daughter is stuck upstairs? As soon as Rachel thought this, Olivia smiled and began walking towards her. No, Rachel thought. No, don't come over here. Leave me alone. Auntie Rachel, Olivia said with a gentle smile. Your gown is even more exquisite in the natural light than it was inside. Thank you, Rachel said, fixing a fake smile on her face. It is, isn't it? Because there were so many people around, Rachel immediately adopted a kind, welcoming expression. Everyone's watching, she thought as Olivia listened. Be the stepmother they all expect you to be. Is this the eldest Miss Johnson? A noblewoman beside Rachel suddenly said, taking in Olivia with a measuring gaze. You look darling, young lady. Olivia curtsied politely. Thank you. She recognized this woman as Sandra Hollingsworth, an art collector and heiress to an oil fortune who dominated the charity circuit. Oh wow, your earrings are so unique. The other woman also looked at Sandra's earrings. They hadn't noticed them before, but now the entire group fawned over the one-of-a-kind teardrop emerald and jade earrings. "Oh, these?" Sandra blushed. "These are just something my son bought for me overseas. He said it was a limited edition run of earrings displayed by the Spanish royal family special designer." She smiled with pride. "Your son is so kind." Sandra Hollingsworth shook her head. "Well, he doesn't want to return to the country to inherit the family business." She rolled her eyes. "He's interested in theater and horticulture," she said with a shrug. The other lady smiled. "He'll come to his senses," one joked. "Just cut him off for a month." The others giggled. "Sandra, didn't your son graduate from undergrad in neuroscience, though?" asked a woman dressed in Chanel. "Yes, from Harvard. And I thought he would continue with an MBA program after, to work in biotech. I didn't expect him to suddenly discover his love of acting while enjoying an immersive theater experience in a boutique hotel last summer in the Dolomites." Sandra shook her head helplessly as the other women chuckled. "I spoiled him, and that's why he thinks he can do anything. Poor thing doesn't realize he only succeeds because he was already set up to succeed." With Sandra leading the way, all the matriarchs of New York's elite started to update each other on the professional, educational, and marital status of their own children. "What the hell?" Rachel thought. "Why aren't we talking about me? Why is no one asking about Monica? This is my birthday. I should be the focus of conversation." Olivia watched Rachel's thoughts and laughed to herself. Rachel tried to chime in a few times, but no one seemed to even notice. Olivia kept asking others more about themselves, pulling the conversation further and further away from Rachel or her daughter. Everyone seemed to be enjoying this wonderful democratic way of conversing, except Rachel. She narrowed her eyes, staring down Olivia, but Olivia simply replied with a polite smile. "You better get used to this, Auntie Rachel," Olivia thought, "because I could do this all day." Something moved on the edge of Olivia's periphery, pulling her attention momentarily. It was Sadie Diaz, Melanie Cooper's friend, with the especially biting insults, and she was all alone. Olivia felt a tingle of excitement. Olivia watched as Sadie Diaz walked along the garden path, admiring the various rose bushes and honeysuckle and herb gardens. Beyond her, younger children flew kites that said, "Happy Birthday" in the meadow that extended for miles beyond the mansion on the property. Olivia's lip curled upwards. She started toward Sadie like a predator stalking its prey, when her father unexpectedly approached and pulled her attention. "Olivia," he said, "I see you've met some of my friends." Olivia begrudgingly turned her attention from Sadie back to her father, and she quickly recovered as she smiled at him and the ladies surrounding Rachel. "Yes," Olivia nodded, "and they're all so welcoming and lovely." Olivia noticed one of the women fiddling with a new Birkin bag, as if trying to draw attention to it, and she pounced on the opportunity. "And they're all practically style icons," she added with a smile. "Your Birkin is exquisite," Olivia told the woman. "Oh, thank you," the woman gushed. "My hubby just bought it for me while we were in Paris. I couldn't say no." Olivia could see her father was smiling, pleased with how she was handling herself in front of an otherwise intimidating, buttoned-up group of women. She fits right in, he thought, and she understands that flattery is the best way to these stuck-up women's hearts. Olivia almost laughed, overhearing her dad's private thoughts, but she stifled it so she didn't give herself away. "This is unfair," Rachel thought. Olivia turned to scan her mind for more. "Why am I being overlooked and treated like I'm invisible? We should be talking about my earrings and my bag and my child." Olivia wanted to roll her eyes. "Well, I guess I know where Monica gets her immaturity," she thought. "Rachel's acting like a child." But Olivia couldn't complain. The worse Rachel felt, the more Olivia felt she was beating her at her own game. Every second Rachel feels like she doesn't matter here is one more second I've paid her back for making me feel like that in my last life. "Do you ladies mind if I steal my daughter away for a moment? Michael asked. Please take her, Rachel thought. Just promise to bring her back, Sandra Hollingsworth joked. She's quite lovely, Michael, and she has excellent taste. She loved my earrings. The other women chuckled. Olivia could see from the strain on Rachel's face that it pained her to hear how much the other socialites enjoyed Olivia's company. Michael, however, not noticing Rachel's reaction, smiled with a paternal pride. Don't worry, she'll be here for a long time, he assured everyone. He beckoned his daughter to walk with him through the tented dance floor, so Olivia flashed a smile to the row of society ladies. Please excuse me, ladies. Continue your discussion. I'm sure I will see you later this evening. She curtsied. Sandra Hollingsworth waved her hand, donning a benevolent smile. We look forward to it, dear. Olivia turned and walked with her father through the banquet. For a brief moment, Olivia caught sight of Sadie again, but refocused on her father. Too bad, she thought. With Sadie all alone like that, she'd make a great target. Are you enjoying yourself so far? Michael asked. These people aren't too stuffy for you, are they? He smirked. No, father, they're very gracious, Olivia said. She was careful to walk with long, elegant steps, so it looked like she belonged among this well-heeled crowd. As she talked with her father, Olivia could feel Rachel's eyes on her. What is he talking to her about? Rachel wondered. Michael's never exhibited such closeness to Monica. Why is he showing such favoritism? On my big day of all days, too. God, you're annoying, Olivia thought, glancing at Rachel. You're probably one of those people who insisted on having a birthday week when they were younger, so other people had to give you more attention. I just wanted to find you and let you know Bradley and Ashley Jones are about to arrive, Michael informed his daughter, pulling her attention back to him. Bradley texted me a few moments ago. Olivia was momentarily taken back. In her previous life, the members of the Jones family had never graced this banquet with their presence. She looked at Michael and asked, Should I do anything special to prepare? Am I going to meet Chris today? Suddenly she was nervous. She may have vowed to live more fearlessly this time around, but she also hadn't been promised to the son of another family in her last life, so this was all new to her. And asserting herself was one thing. Being set up on essentially a blind date by your families felt like a different kind of pressure. Where is your bracelet that Ashley got you? Retrieve it and put it on, Michael replied, noticing Olivia's empty wrist. It's in my room. I'll go get it now. Olivia nodded. She swiftly turned and retreated inside obediently. Looking on, Rachel was growing more distressed and curious, wondering what her husband had said to his daughter. Were they conspiring against her? No, they couldn't be. So what was it? Hector Pugh was no longer around to mess things up. In Olivia's last life, when Michael entrusted Hector with the task of informing Olivia about important upcoming engagements, Hector would tell Rachel first, and Rachel wouldn't relay the message to Olivia, so Olivia often looked rude and flaky, missing out on events or showing up hours late. Despite Rachel's insistence that she and Hector gave Olivia all the correct information, Michael quickly tired of trying with Olivia after that, and eventually gave up on her entirely, thinking she just didn't like being a part of the family. Now, though, with Hector gone, Olivia had ample time to prepare and make a good impression on the Joneses. Rachel contemplated excusing herself from her conversation with her friends and probing and questioning Michael about his conversation with Olivia. But before she could utter a word, Sandra declared, Rachel, you are so fortunate to have a stepdaughter as lovely as Olivia. How old is she again? 16, Rachel replied with a feigned warmth, although her heart seethed with discontent. And she is lovely, isn't it? All credit to Michael. You can't deny good genes. Sandra nodded approvingly. I must say she is indeed quite poised. It's surprising, given her previous upbringing, she added, speaking in veiled euphemisms. Yes, echoed the other women in their semicircle. Olivia's demeanor is more befitting of a genteel family's daughter than my unruly son, one joked. She doesn't even appear as though she just moved here from, well, somewhere else. These women were too dignified to say the word poor or slums or impoverished when speaking about one of their own, and it was clear they were so impressed by the graceful way Olivia carried herself that they were willing to accept her. Indeed, Olivia is also exceptionally beautiful, another woman chimed in. The chorus of praise made Rachel exceedingly uncomfortable. She looked at her husband, who stood watching his daughter disappear into the mansion. With a smile, he turned and engaged in conversation with other business acquaintances. Noting the contentment in Michael's eyes, Rachel grew even more incensed. "This isn't fair," she seethed, feeling that if she remained standing here any longer, her anger would undoubtedly consume her, and she might actually break down in front of all her guests. Fortunately, at that moment, a maid rushed over and whispered, "Madame, Miss Monica has asked that you come to her room." The maid was out of breath, like she'd sprinted here from all the way upstairs through the entire mansion. Rachel's eyes lit up, and she looked apologetically at her esteemed guest. "If you ladies will excuse me, I have to attend to an important matter inside." "Ah, of course. Duty calls." Sandra smiled politely. Rachel then hurriedly followed her maid back inside, secretly happy to escape the stifling, oppressive conversation she'd found herself in. Entering Monica's room, Rachel found her daughter already dressed in formal attire. Monica was putting on a pair of white gloves, and the smell of a curling iron wafted through the air. "Monica, what are you doing?" Rachel inquired. "Mom, I want to go downstairs. Help me with my makeup. I don't know how to do it." Monica looked defiant but determined. "Honey, you're grounded." Rachel moved closer, concerned. Monica pressed her lips together, her eyes tinged with resentment and unwillingness. "But I refuse to witness Olivia basking in all that glory while I'm stuck up here. Mom, I am the eldest daughter of the Johnson family, not her. She's not a real part of this family." "I understand. I know you feel wronged." Rachel gently cupped Monica's face, feeling her anguish. "I understand." Rachel despised Olivia even more than Monica did, but she had suffered a setback before with the dress fiasco, and couldn't act rashly now. She had to carefully assess Olivia's strengths, as well as her strengthening relationship with her father, before making a move to undermine her. "Mom," Monica sobbed, her voice firm, "I want to go downstairs. I cannot let Olivia steal our spotlight. You know that." "But what would I say to your father?" Rachel also desperately wanted her daughter to come downstairs and attend the party. Half of being a functioning member of Manhattan society was being seen at events. Rachel knew how important it was for Monica to get FaceTime with people like Sandra Hollingsworth, and how important it was for the sons of the titans of industry to clock Monica's beautiful looks and intelligence and poise. Connections made during these types of events were the connections that paved the way for lifelong success. They were influential figures present, and there was no excuse to miss out on mingling with them. Not even being grounded, Rachel thought. "Monica, you are my pride." Rachel kissed Monica's forehead. She then instructed the maid to bring over Monica's makeup bag and lightly applied makeup for Monica, slightly nervous about defying her husband's orders and bringing her daughter out to the party. "But it's my birthday," she thought, and she suffered long enough. So Rachel finished her daughter's makeup, then helped her curl her hair, and after giving her an approving once-over, she accompanied Monica down the stairs, holding her daughter's hand supportively as they walked. Rachel had initially hoped to showcase the true elegance of the Johnson family's true eldest daughter from the moment they stepped out onto the terrace of the garden. But to her surprise, nobody even noticed her or Monica's entrance. Everyone was already gathered together, facing away from them on the tented dance floor. "What the hell?" Rachel sneered. Monica and Rachel exchanged puzzled glances. Why had everyone suddenly congregated? What had transpired in the short time Rachel was inside? As they approached the crowd, Monica craned her neck to try and see over the tall guests and spotted Olivia standing obediently beside a beautiful woman, the diamonds on her collar sparkling in the lancing sunlight of dusk. The beautiful woman held Olivia's hand, her gaze gentle and kind, and her words revealed a close bond with Olivia. Standing beside the woman were two men. One was Michael, and the other was presumably the woman's husband. "Mommy, who are those people?" Monica whispered to Rachel. Observing the situation and the flattering smiles from everyone, Rachel seemed to have deduced the identities of these two individuals. She had never met them before in person, but she'd seen pictures, and she knew immediately who they were. Realizing this, she squeezed Monica's hand and approached with a smile. "Michael, do we have an important guest in our midst?" Michael was shocked to see Monica outside, fully done up for the party, and his eyes flicked over to Rachel. "You weren't supposed to let her come to this," he thought. "I grounded her." Olivia watched him think this, though she knew he wouldn't make a scene in front of his guests. "He'll get you for that later," Olivia mused. Instead, Michael announced to his wife and to the crowd, "This is Bradley Jones and his wife Ashley. They've just flown in from London." Michael's voice became noticeably louder as he introduced them. It was evident that he considered it a great honor for the Johnson family to host guests from the esteemed Jones family. After the introduction, Michael presented Rachel and Monica to Bradley and his wife. "You've met Olivia, but this is my wife and second daughter." Second daughter? Rachel fumed angrily to herself, prompting Olivia to smile to herself. "Hello," Ashley chirped with a smile. "Mrs. Jones, hello," Monica responded with a sweet smile. Upon hearing Michael's introduction, Monica understood where she stood with her father, too. Livid, she turned her attention to Olivia. Monica wanted to claw her half-sister's eyes out and yell at her in front of everyone. And she might have, too, had Ashley Bradley not said to her, "You look so darling in your dress, Monica, like a little delicate doll in a shop window." Monica bashfully lowered her head, which only enhanced her sweetness and charm. Olivia raised an eyebrow. "So she knows how to play the game in front of Dad's VIP guests, too." Olivia nodded. "Good to know." "We're so honored you invited us to Rachel's birthday," Bradley Jones told Michael. "Feels like we're part of the family almost." "Of course," Michael replied. "We wouldn't think of having an event and not invite you." "I specifically told Chris this started at 5 in the evening," Ashley said, looking at her clock. "Since he was late last time, I've gotten in the habit of telling him things start an hour earlier than they do, so he'll only be 2 hours late when he arrives." She smiled, but she looked exhausted at the prospect of having to constantly wrangle her stepson. "I believe he'll be here shortly." She patted Olivia's hand playfully. "If he tries to be sarcastic or irritates you with his humor, don't hesitate to tell me. In the past, he's been rude to people we've tried to introduce him to." Olivia blushed, keeping her head down and revealing a shy smile. "What the hell am I walking into?" she worried. "What kind of guy is this? Is he going to be rude to me and insult me? Is he like a male version of Monica and her cousin Melanie? It'll be terrible to be betrothed to a guy she couldn't stand." "Relax, Ash," Bradley told his wife. "They're gonna get along like a house on fire." His voice was loud and booming, and he shrugged when his wife shot him a look that said, "Don't speak so informally." "What? We're practically family now. No need for formalities. I don't have to talk all formal just because of who we're around." Olivia smiled. She appreciated how Bradley didn't put on airs like the rest of the crowd at this party. In fact, he wore jeans with his blazer and cowboy boots. Only the very rich can forego all the norms and do whatever they want, Olivia observed, and everyone has to go along with it. "I want to be that powerful one day." "Yes," she nodded, "that's exactly what I want." She looked up and saw her dad was grinning proudly from ear to ear. "He just said we're practically family now," Michael thought, watching Bradley. Michael couldn't be happier at this prospect. As she scanned the crowd, Olivia could see Melanie and her group of friends all watching her with a mix of surprise, fear, jealousy, and discontent. In stark contrast, Melanie's older sister Beatrix wore a persistent smile, though her eyes were filled with a battle-ready intent. "One day, you'll be bowing before me, begging for forgiveness," Beatrix was thinking as she eyed Olivia. "So enjoy this little fake moment for now." Olivia smiled, accepting the challenge, before turning to Monica. Olivia was relishing the opportunity to witness everyone's reaction to her big debut, and she wanted to know exactly what each person was thinking. Monica blinked her large eyes, looking innocent and happy for her older half-sister. However, her mind teemed with thoughts. She imagined Chris Jones to be an ugly man, scarred with pockmarks. But, judging by Bradley's looks, she had to admit to herself, Chris is probably good-looking too. Maybe he's a scoundrel, though. A guy with vices like a gambling or alcohol addiction, who would torment Olivia to no end even at this age. A girl could only hope. Olivia, aware of Monica's thoughts, hoped Monica would once again be disappointed. "Ah, speak of the devil," Bradley said, nodding towards the mansion, noting a figure leisurely approaching. "Here he is now." Olivia noticed a fleeting glint of coldness cross Ashley Jones' face as all eyes turned to witness a young man in a dark blue suit making his way to the tented dance floor. At 18, Chris Jones already possessed a flawless physique and exuded a natural confidence, captivating the attention of every young lady present. With each step, Olivia sensed her heart beating faster. His brows were full and dark, his eyes shimmering and light blue like celestial stars. A prominent nose and healthy pink lips adorned his face, while a faint smile danced at the corner of his mouth. His limbs were slender yet muscular, and he stood just over 6 feet tall. "Whoa," Monica's friend Haley thought, summarizing the collection observations of almost every young girl in the vicinity. "Chris, come greet everyone," Bradley beckoned his son, his voice infused with paternal pride. As Chris neared, a path automatically parted in the crowd, allowing him to reach his father quickly. With a nod of acknowledgement, Chris nonchalantly extended his hand out to Michael and Rachel. "Hey," he said casually. "Chris." Olivia laughed to herself. Everyone here was so obsessed with manners and appearance, and how they came off. And in waltzes this guy acting like he's too cool to arrive on time, and just walking up to Olivia's dad to say, "Hey." "He has more guts than I do," Olivia mused, "and it's certainly alluring." She cocked an eyebrow, intrigued as she watched him. Monica, witnessing Chris's approach, also found herself spellbound. How could such a strikingly handsome man exist in this world? He's better than, like, Channing Tatum, Monica thought, making Olivia laugh. "Chris, it's wonderful to meet you," Michael said, sidestepping Chris's informal greeting. His eyes shifted between Chris and Olivia, nodding approvingly at the prospective match before him. "Olivia and Chris, you are going to make a heavenly pair," Rachel said quickly, seizing any opportunity she could to win points with Michael and the Jones family. She needed to do her part as the doting, well-behaved wife, especially after allowing Monica to come downstairs and enjoy the party while she was supposed to be grounded. The ploy worked. Nearly everyone nodded and murmured amongst themselves in agreement. Olivia and Chris did look good together, side by side. Olivia watched as Chris smiled, greeting Rachel with warmth. He seemed pleasant and easygoing enough, though she knew better than to judge him solely by his exterior charm. "What are you thinking?" Olivia thought, eyeing him. "What's really going on in there?" Beneath his perpetually smiling facade lay his true thoughts, which hinted at his frustration with being there. "When can I leave?" Olivia heard him think as he gazed around blankly. He let out a long sigh. "My family's insistence on arranging blind dates is exasperating." He eyed Olivia. "It's not this girl's fault. She's just the poor idiot I've been set up with this time." Olivia furrowed her brow, offended, though she quickly reminded herself not to take Chris's inner thoughts personally. He was probably sick of being set up by his parents with society girls his whole life, and for all he knew, Olivia was no different. "But I'll show him soon enough," she thought, "that I'm nothing like the girls he's been around before." She looked at him for a few moments, into his hypnotic, crystal-clear eyes. I owe you a profound debt, Chris Jones, she thought. She knew that if things went well with him, he could help her ascend to the level of power and influence she desired, and at that point, she would be unstoppable. At that point, neither Rachel nor Monica nor Melanie nor Beatrix Cooper would stand a chance against Olivia. Not against her powers or against her social standing. And with Chris by her side, Olivia would also be able to restore her mother Victoria's name and reputation in Manhattan society, giving her a place at the table that Victoria rightly deserved. Olivia, Michael noted, why don't you show Chris where the food is and the refreshments? They want us to have a little privacy, Chris thought, rolling his eyes. Get to know each other one-on-one, away from the prying eyes. Yes, he probably hasn't seen the bar or the buffet since he was so late, Ashley Jones said, making a small dig at her stepson. It would be my pleasure. Olivia smiled, taking the hint. Right this way, she beckoned. After you, Chris said. Chris looked around at the party guests while plating some caviar and cream. The people here are so... awful? Olivia finished his sentence. He smiled and cocked his head to the side, like he was surprised but amused that Olivia had the nerve to say something so bold in such a crowded place. At her own stepmother's party, no less. I was going to say formal, but I like your word better. Oops, Olivia shrugged, just calling it like I see it. He squinted his eyes, a smirk still lingering on his face. You're not from here, are you? How can you tell? He let out a tiny chuckle. I just can. Yeah, I just moved in with my dad. I lived with my mom for most of my life in the Bronx. This is an upgrade. Well, the house is, Olivia corrected. Not so much the people. I like how honest you are, Chris thought. It's refreshing. Olivia tried not to smile and reveal she was reading his thoughts, but she was flattered. You seem different too, she said. And I'm not just saying that because you have a very obvious hybrid British-American accent. He chuckled a bit bashfully, which she wasn't expecting. Guilty, he said. It guarantees I stand out like a sore thumb on both continents. Not quite British, not quite American. That's not the only reason you stand out, Olivia thought sarcastically. But you probably know that, so no need to feed your ego. Chris! Another guy around their age suddenly called from outside. Dude, I didn't realize you were in town. Just got in last week, Chris responded. Well, damn, it's like a mini reunion now, 'cause Caleb and AJ are here too. They're talking to my mom and dad outside. You gotta say hey. They'll probably do the whole, you've grown so much since boarding school thing. Give me a sec and I'll come out there, Chris said before turning his attention back to Olivia. Sorry, would you mind if I just go and say hello? Not at all, Olivia said politely. In fact, I'm sure my father wants me to make the rounds too. As soon as the words left her mouth, Chris's friend grabbed him by the shoulder and gently guided him away, through the sea of people and out the door. Olivia watched as Chris moved further away from her in the current of people. It took a moment before she realized she was experiencing that familiar tingling excitement inside her stomach. Odd, she thought. I normally only feel this when I think about hurting my tormentors. But he is very, very attractive, she admitted to herself. So really, there's no harm in just watching him. An hour drifted by, and Olivia found herself in dull, polite conversation after dull, polite conversation. She looked to her left and could still see Chris a couple 100 feet away. But every time she moved towards him, another stranger came to introduce themselves. Well, Olivia told herself, they were in line when they called this my introduction to society. But at least this one's going better than my last life. Excuse me, everyone, may I have your attention? Rachel clinked a spoon against her champagne glass. As some of you know, I was born at 8:47 in the evening, so at that exact time, we're going to have a dazzling fireworks show. If you'd like to grab a seat on the blankets in the meadow, or top off your drink beforehand, please do so. The show will begin in 10 minutes, and it promises to be explosive. Her eyes sparkled as she spoke. She was supremely happy to be the center of attention again. Olivia rolled her eyes, then turned and spotted Chris near the outdoor bar, uttering something to Ashley in a low, commanding tone. Olivia strained to listen to his thoughts, since she couldn't quite hear him from where she stood. After a few unsuccessful attempts, she drew closer. He seemed to speak with a sense of authority. Finally, Olivia had got close enough to hear his thoughts as he said them aloud to Ashley. "I attended this banquet. Now it's time for you to fulfill your promise. Let Vera go." Intrigued, Olivia's heart tightened up overhearing these words. Who is Vera, and what exactly did Ashley do to her to coerce Chris into coming here tonight? "What is it you're actually trying to do?" Chris continued, whispering to Ashley in a gruff tone, eyes brimming with an ominous glint, his voice laced with an undercurrent of lethal intent. Ashley simply responded with a smile. Maybe I'm not the only one with an evil stepmom, Olivia thought. Curiosity piqued. Who is this new, attractive, mysterious Chris Jones? "I'm doing this for your own good and for the good of our family," Ashley said, nudging Chris along through the party, out of earshot from other guests. Bradley was preoccupied inside the Johnson mansion, saying hello to some of his business associates. Chris didn't respond. He just glared at his stepmom. Then finally he said, very measured, "I attended your little social function, and now I want to leave. And when I get home, I better see Vera waiting for me safe and sound. Don't think that I have no evidence of what you've done." Who is Vera? Olivia wondered, still watching from afar. In her previous life, she had never heard of these people. "Chris," Ashley said, trying to reason with him, but he didn't let her finish. Instead, he turned and headed into the mansion towards his idling car out front. Ashley frowned, looking around to make sure nobody saw their interaction. She didn't spot Olivia observing her. He's always been so rebellious, Ashley thought, dismayed. I just hope he and the Johnson girl can get along well. That engagement's the only thing he's actually useful for. Ashley smiled at a passing guest, but thought to herself, I can't let Chris leave the city and go back to London. He's more vulnerable here, and my plan only works when he's vulnerable. What plan? Olivia wondered. She tried to get closer to Ashley to hear her thoughts better, because she kept getting bombarded by the bits and pieces of other people's thoughts and conversations. There are too many people around, she bemoaned. By the time Olivia reached her, however, Ashley had already joined another group of guests and was mingling with them, her thoughts returning to much more mundane subjects like the weather and the coming school year. Olivia couldn't let Ashley's words go. Chris and Ashley certainly seemed to be at odds. There was an obvious lack of harmony between them. But before she could ponder it more, Olivia suddenly felt a presence behind her. She turned to find Monica and Melanie approaching just over her shoulder. I wouldn't bask in that glow for too long, Monica seethed. It's not going to last. That's right, Melanie chimed in. Once the Jones family discovers what a sad little unworldly peasant you really are, the engagement will inevitably crumble. Do you really think you'll be able to keep up with our conversations and friends and experiences? Chris Jones has been around the world a million times. Where have you been? To Pittsburgh? Melanie and Monica snickered. You don't belong together, and he's going to figure that out way sooner than later. Olivia pursed her lips and looked at Monica. When you say this glow of mine isn't going to last, are you trying to say that you're personally going to try to take it from me? Because you know what happened the last time you tried to cross me. Olivia nodded her chin to Melanie. Well, Miss Pixie Cut over here certainly does at least. Or would you say that's more of a little toddler's haircut you're sporting, Mel? Either way, I think we can all agree it's not a good look. Now, if you'll excuse me, I have a fireworks show to watch, and I'm pretty sure you have a room to go cry in since you're grounded, no? Olivia cast a measured glance at Monica before calmly maneuvering her way around her, and Melanie, and continuing on her way. Monica, offended by Olivia's dismissal, gritted her teeth and exclaimed, Don't overestimate yourself. Olivia paused to turn back and utter, "Oh, don't worry. I'm perfectly aware of how capable I am." After a brief pause, she continued, "It's you I worry about, for underestimating me. Or are you just envious that I got more attention today and you're just acting out?" Monica's face reddened in response, her ears burning with embarrassment at Olivia's accusation. Attempting to save face, she retorted, "Why would I be envious of you? You should take a good look at yourself." Olivia turned back and slid over to Monica so quickly it startled her half-sister. "Do you really dare speak to me in such a manner?" Olivia whispered, "when you know our father is still angry with you?" Olivia's words struck a chord, causing Monica to instinctively take a step back. Melanie, grinding her teeth, attempted to interject, but Olivia swiftly cut her off, saying, "Would you like to be sent home again? All I have to say is you two won't leave me alone and both our dads will be here in seconds, saying they warned you two not to embarrass them anymore by messing with me." Melanie, boiling over with anger, found herself rendered speechless. Olivia was right. Melanie's parents had scolded her and told her to act like a lady so as not to embarrass them anymore. She didn't want to bring shame onto her family by acting out in public. She couldn't have Olivia claiming they'd bullied her again. Suddenly, the sound of applause reverberated through the air, diverting their attention. They all looked towards the lilac grove that sat in the corner of the gardens. From there, Beatrix approached them, slowly clapping. Yes, Melanie thought. My big sister's come to step in and be my ally. She lifted her chin, regarding Olivia with a newfound confidence. Olivia, in turn, addressed Beatrix. It's getting pretty dark out, and the fireworks are about to start. You should be careful. Venturing out at night may lead to unwanted encounters. Beatrix replied softly, Oh, thanks for your concern, but I'm good. I've never encountered anything I couldn't handle, especially something that grew up shopping in the basement bargain aisle. With that, Beatrix turned to her sister and said, Come on, Mom and Dad want us to sit by them for the fireworks. Melanie nodded and followed her sister around to the other side of the yard. Unbothered by Monica's simmering anger, Olivia turned and ambled back towards the mansion, ready to be alone for a while in her room. She knew nobody would notice if she slipped away during the fireworks, and she wanted to have a moment to herself to think. Something had irked her about the strange encounter she witnessed between Chris and Ashley Jones. She wished she could have listened to their thoughts longer, especially now that her future seemed inextricably linked to Chris's going forward. Lost in thought, Olivia contemplated her next encounter with them, sensing that there was more to Chris and Ashley than a defiant son and a concerned stepmother. As she looked up at the radiant full moon, her mind wandered to the enigmatic figure known as Vera as well, wondering who she was and how she fit into the Bradley family. Elsewhere, Chris Jones returned to his family's penthouse in Manhattan. He tossed his jacket on the entryway table and passed the floor-to-ceiling that looked out over Central Park. The Jones family lived in the tallest building in the city, and their apartment here occupied the top 6 floors. When Chris got to his wing of the apartment, he found Vera standing by the window, looking out over the city below. Vera! He rushed over to her. How are you feeling? Chris asked, his voice laced with concern. Deliberately evading his gaze, Vera replied, Don't worry. Ashley won't lay a hand on me, but it's late. You should go to sleep. Chris's worry intensified as Vera avoided his question. He reached out and touched her chin, his eyes catching a glimpse of the greenish bruise on her cheek. You've been hurt, he whispered. Vera was like an older sister to Chris, or a second mother. She had been his babysitter since she was in college and he was about 12. And when he moved with his family from London to the States, Vera was the constant in his life who accompanied him. Now she acted as his sort of handler turned assistant, keeping him on schedule and making sure he still remembered to come to family events and kiss the ring, so to speak, in order to appease his grandparents and fathers so that they kept his trust fund intact. Even while he gallivanted around the world at the young age of 18, he was a billionaire with endless resources at his disposal, so his family understood that someone as bright and good-looking and mischievous as Chris would need a leash. Vera, in essence, was his leash. But in recent years, Chris's adopted mother, Ashley, would twist the leash in order to punish Chris, often hurting Vera in the process. "No, I tried to escape but accidentally collided with the doorframe," Vera reassured him, attempting to alleviate his concerns. "Don't worry, I've endured much worse over the years. This is nothing to me." Determined to confront Ashley as soon as she returned home with his father, Chris clenched his fists and prepared to storm out of the room. But Vera swiftly intervened, stopping him. "Wait," she said. "You may hate Ashley right now, and you may have evidence that she's not who everyone thinks she is, but you can't tell anyone until the right moment, okay?" Chris halted in his tracks upon hearing Vera's words. The weight of his anger burdened him, but he understood the need to remain patient and cautious. Acting recklessly would not serve him well. Vera was right. "And you needn't worry about me," Vera reassured him again, leaning her forehead against his shoulder, her voice soft. "The bigger picture takes precedence, okay?" Chris furrowed his brow but remained silent. Olivia had just reached her family's large double French doors when she spotted Monica's friend Sadie flirting with a teenage boy at the base of one of the garden balconies. They were whispering close to one another and giggling. Well, this is fate, Olivia thought. No matter where she went at this party, she always seemed to end up running into this Sadie girl, didn't she? Olivia's eyes flickered a bit, and she suddenly felt more alive. "I suppose I could have a little fun," she thought, before heading upstairs. Olivia blended into the crowd as she approached Sadie and the unfamiliar teen guy chatting at the base of the balcony. When she was close enough to eavesdrop, she stood behind a pillar and began to listen in on their thoughts and the bits of their conversation she could pick up. "Why not?" the guy was asking Sadie. "Because I don't want to get in trouble," Sadie replied. "You know whose house this is." "Oh, come on, no one will see us." "How do you know?" "Because they'll be watching the fireworks show." The boy was persuasive and wouldn't let up. "Come on, I'll sneak up first. Then you follow a few minutes after me. Then we can climb up on the roof and watch." "I don't know." Sadie looked around. "What if you get up there and there's someone up there?" "There isn't. I already scoped it out." Sadie was surprised. "Already?" "Yeah," he shrugged. "When I saw you here, and when I heard there'd be fireworks, I went around to scope out good spots to watch them together. Somewhere we could be alone. I thought it'd be romantic." God, this guy's laying it on thick, Olivia thought, rolling her eyes. But judging by the way Sadie was swooning, it was working. "Well," Sadie was clearly considering the guy's plan. "What if you go up and you're fine, but then I try to follow and they catch me and I get in trouble?" "How about this?" the guy replied. "Why don't you sneak up there first, and I'll keep an eye out and distract anyone who might otherwise see you. Just sneak up the stairs, then cross the balcony, and go onto that part of the roof that's flat, over the atrium." He pointed to the roof. "It's just around the corner, and you'll see it when you get there. I already laid a blanket down for us up there." "You did?" Sadie thought, touched. "Don't get too flattered," Olivia thought. "You're the second girl he's asked. The first rejected him flat out. And Olivia could tell from reading his thoughts, this kid was going to ask Haley to go on the roof with him if Sadie said no. What a player. Still, it was amusing to see how easily Sadie fell for it. "Okay," she said with a sudden burst of giddiness. "Sure, why not? You only live once, right?" "So they say," the guy responded, sort of surprised his plan had worked. "All right," Sadie said. "Meet me up there in 10. Put enough time between us so nobody notices us going up together, though, okay? Just in case." "Deal," the guy smiled. Sadie flashed a coy smile, then turned around, and after making sure her new paramour was keeping lookout, scurried up the steps towards the balcony overlooking the party. "Oh, Sadie," Olivia thought as soon as Sadie disappeared from sight. "You are practically begging for me to mess with you now." Olivia inhaled deeply. Her night had just gotten exponentially more fun. Olivia fixed her gaze on the teenage boy who had convinced Sadie to climb up onto the roof with him. He was posted up at the bottom of the stairs that led up to one of the mansion's balconies overlooking the gardens, keeping guard as Sadie made her way to the roof first. After about a minute, Olivia approached him. "Hey," she said, startling him. He jumped. "Huh? Oh, hi." He turned to face her, glancing up at the stairs to make sure Sadie was already all the way up. She was. "Your name is—" Olivia began, trying to search his thoughts for his name. "Zachary," he said. "Right, yes. Hey, Zachary. I think I heard someone I think it was your mom looking for you. Is she here in the gown? Looks really done up." Olivia was being intentionally vague because in truth she knew nothing about Zach's mom. Oh God, does she want me to talk to the Petersons about the internship? Zachary thought. Why does Mom always think of this stuff as a networking event? Can't I just chill? Olivia jumped on this information. She was saying something about needing you to talk to someone about, like, an internship or job or something. Mentioned something about the Petersons leaving soon. I don't know, she seemed upset. I just heard her asking the staff where Zachary was, and I thought I heard Monica say that was you. If I were you, I'd go see what it was all about. Zachary glanced back up the stairs, then around at the party, like he was nervous. His shoulders slumped. Okay, thanks for letting me know. Zachary sighed. Then, as if resigning himself to his filial duties, he glanced once more at the balcony before heading off into the busy party behind Olivia. She watched him as he disappeared into the crowd, then waited another 2 minutes to make sure he wasn't coming back. Then, looking around furtively, Olivia took the balcony stairs 2 at a time and snuck across the balcony, following Zachary's earlier instructions, until she rounded the corner and spotted Sadie sitting, back to her, on the roof. At that moment, the first firework went off. It was a dazzling green explosion of light that sparkled for a moment and changed to gold as it slowly fell to the earth. Then another firework went off. Sadie was so taken with the display, she didn't even notice Olivia creeping up. Look at you, all alone up here, Olivia thought as she lifted herself up onto the roof and slowly, quietly snuck forward. When she sensed someone behind her, Sadie didn't peel her eyes away from the sky as she said, "Took you long enough." Olivia grinned. Had to make some preparations first. Hearing a girl's voice, Sadie froze for a second, then quickly whipped her head around. "Olivia!" she shrieked, stunned. Immediately she stood up and instinctively backed up, away from Olivia, though this meant she was inching closer to the edge of the roof. "Oh, watch out!" Olivia pointed. "You wouldn't want to fall." A firework went off with a bang behind Sadie and she jumped. "What are you doing up here?" Sadie asked. Olivia shrugged. "This is my house. Sometimes I like to go for walks. Plus, this is the best view of the show." Olivia nodded to another firework going off behind Sadie. "I hate missing a good spectacle. The real question is, what are you doing up here? You're supposed to be enjoying the party downstairs, like a good little guest." Sadie didn't say anything. Olivia could tell she was too scared to move, too caught off guard. Hell, she was too scared to think either, it seemed. Her mind was blank. All that she was thinking was, just be still, be calm, it's okay. "Although I guess you're not a very good guest, are you?" Olivia added. "I mean, you did try to completely insult me earlier, and I am the eldest daughter of this family. What was it you said? Something about whoring me out to the Jones kid, and about me being here only temporarily before being sent back home?" Sadie shook her head, barely able to make words. "No, Olivia, those were only... Come on, we were all only joking. I mean, can't you take a joke? We're friends, right? Friends tease each other." "Are we friends?" Olivia's eyes narrowed. "Now, I wouldn't use that term to describe us, but thinking about it, I'd say you misjudged the situation." "You know what? You're probably right," Sadie agreed, wanting to ameliorate Olivia and get out of this predicament she found herself as quickly as possible. "Yeah, because I'm not the one who's here temporarily. You are." Olivia could see as Sadie swallowed hard. Listen, Olivia, I'm so sorry for what I said earlier, Sadie said, her words soft and hesitant, like she was carefully choosing each one. I didn't mean to. I should have been more sensitive. Look, I was just trying to be funny, okay? Yeah, it's very obvious you do everything for approval. You shouldn't do that. You could end up living your whole life for others and not even know who you are. Olivia shrugged. Or you piss off the wrong person, and it could end very badly. Can we call truce? Sadie said. Olivia took a step forward towards Sadie. No, I'm afraid it's too late for that. Sadie took 2 mini steps backwards. Olivia took another step forward, and Sadie inched back again until her heels were butting up against the edge of the roof. Besides, Olivia continued, I don't believe you would keep it. I think you're the type of girl who would say anything to my face to save your skin now, and then in front of everyone else, you'd quickly forget about any promise you made here. No, Sadie shook her head rigorously. No, I promise, I will. I'll be so nice to you. I'll tell everyone how great you are. I promise I won't say another bad word about you. Well, what about the others? Just because you're nice to my face doesn't mean that sharp tongue of yours won't wag on and on about every other person Melanie and Monica choose to humiliate and torment from now on. Olivia considered her options. So yeah, no truce. A cluster of fireworks popped behind Sadie as she shook, hovering near the edge. When Olivia leaned forward for a second, and Sadie braced for impact. But then Olivia whispered, "Boo," and stepped back, laughing. Sadie sighed, relieved when Olivia retreated. Oh, thank God. She was just calling my bluff, she thought. Sadie took 2 steps away from the edge and watched cautiously as Olivia turned and appeared as though she was going to head back downstairs. I can't wait to tell Melanie and Monica about this, Sadie thought. About Mel's psycho half-sister who basically tried to threaten me, who I thought was going to push me off the roof for just joking around. Suddenly, Olivia flipped around. You know, I really don't think I could trust you, come to think of it. What? Why? Sadie stuttered, her voice innocent, contrasting her more confident, vicious inner monologue. And you really shouldn't call people psychopathic. Sadie's eyes went wide. How did you... That word gets thrown around so much, but you forget what you did to deserve this, don't you? Olivia, I'm sorry. Olivia was having fun now. I know, don't look so scared, Sadie. I'm just joking around with you. Sadie looked at Olivia like she didn't know whether to believe her. But when Olivia laughed, it disarmed Sadie, so she laughed too. She shook her head, then grabbed the blanket Zachary had laid out on the roof for her. Come on, then, she said, wanting to use the opportunity to get down. Let's go back and join everyone. Okay, Olivia smiled. As soon as Sadie stood back up, though, blanket in hand, Olivia said, Actually, why don't you go down first? Sadie barely had any time to process what Olivia meant. Huh? She mumbled, when suddenly Olivia took 3 steps forward and shoved Sadie backwards. Sadie reached her hands out as if to grab Olivia and hold on, or maybe to grab Olivia and take her down with her over the side of the roof. But she saw as Olivia began staring her down, and Sadie felt her own fists clenched tight so she couldn't grab onto anything with her fingers. As she fell past the lip of the roof, she tried to grab onto it, but her hands wouldn't open. It was like she wasn't in control of them anymore. Like something or someone was keeping her from being able to stretch out her fingers. What the hell? Sadie thought. Those were the last thoughts Olivia heard from her. Liv watched as Sadie sailed backwards, arms and legs flailing, too startled to even scream, until she landed in the grass below in a large thud, as the fireworks show's finale went off in a blazing glory, upstaging Sadie and pulling everyone's focus so nobody saw the poor girl meet her demise. What a pity, Olivia thought. Even in death, you don't seem to get the attention you so crave. Olivia shrugged, a smirk spreading across her lips, heart beating rapidly as she turned and headed back down to the party. Richard Coors, the family's new head butler, found 2 teenagers making out around the side of the house during the fireworks show and yelled at them to get back to the party. Hey, he said, you're not supposed to be over here. Giggling, caught, they scurried away before he could reach them, and he shook his head. Then he rounded another corner. The applause of the crowd at the end of the fireworks show serenaded him. He sighed when he saw how many empty glasses and plates people had left on this side of the yard. People aren't even supposed to be gathering here. This is why he hated the super wealthy. They didn't pay attention to rules because they believed rules didn't apply to them. Begrudgingly, he got to work cleaning up. I'll get several maids over here, he thought. Make the easy work of the cleanup. That was the benefit of being the man in charge, at least. He could delegate out anything he personally no longer wanted to do. When he turned, Richard saw something in the corner of his eye. It was something bright and pink and possibly red. A kite, maybe? Little kids had been flying kites on the lawn earlier. He drew closer to investigate and saw whatever it was. It sat in a heap at the base of the mansion, half folded over the shrubs. Oh my God, he thought as he got close enough to determine what it was. Oh my bloody hell. He screamed, Somebody come. He could barely get the words out. Somebody come now. Within seconds, a few guests rounded the corner to see what was the matter. No, Richard screamed upon seeing them. No, not you. Get a maid, get Michael and Rachel, no, stand back. His words were ignored and slowly more guests rounded the corner. Oh God, Richard thought. He hadn't intended to pull the party's focus. Please, everybody go back to the party. I only need the staff and the lady or gentleman of the house. Nobody was listening. It was like they were drawn in by his voice, and they gathered around him as he tried to force them back. When he glanced back over his shoulder, it was clear what he and the others were now looking at, the bloody, mangled body of a young girl, about 16 or 17, who had fallen from the roof.